Here's pre-calc. It's problem number 7-16. It says, all of the getting close to language in the previous problems is the idea behind the topic of limits. A limit is a prediction based on a pattern of y values. Look at your graph for f of x equals 1 over x minus 2 plus 3. As x becomes greater and greater, f of x gets closer and closer to 3. The corresponding limit statement, the limit as x approaches infinity of f of x equals 3, is read. The limit of f of x as x approaches infinity is 3. Suppose Bertha starts at the point on the curve of f of x equals 1 over x minus 2 plus 3, where x equals 5, and moves along the curve to the left. Where does she think she is going as she gets closer to x equals 2? Then copy and complete the limit statement for this situation. So I've got this already written down. So it's saying, I don't know if you remember the two bugs, Bertha and Benny. We use them to illustrate how the limits are a prediction of where you're going to end up. So they're saying Bertha starts at the point on this curve right here, because this is 1 over x minus 2 plus 3. And remember, this is just the reciprocal curve, the parent function. It's moved right by 2 and up by 3. That's why we have the little dotted lines that help you see the transformation of the graph. Anyway, she starts at x equals 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's little Bertha. Okay, and it says she starts at the point where x equals 5 and moves along the curve to the left. So she's a little bug and she's crawling to the left. And it says, where does she think she's going as she gets closer and closer? Down here, this is where x equals 2, right? 3, 4, 5. Where does she think she's going as x gets closer and closer to 2? You notice that f of x gets closer to 2, but f of x, where does she think she's following f of x? Where is it going to go as she gets closer to 2? Well, it looks like it starts going more steeply up, 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 right? And you can plug in some numbers. That's what we've been doing in class by plugging in like I could go 2.001 or something, and I'm going to get a number very close to infinity, actually, because she thinks if she's a bug and she keeps trying to get closer and closer, this curve, it's an asymptote. This curve is going to get closer and closer to the asymptote. So if I answer the question, where does she think she's going? She thinks she's going to positive infinity. So the notation that goes with that is the limit of f of x as x approaches 2 from the right is positive infinity. We'll just write infinity. And then letter B says, do you notice the plus sign, this little plus sign right here? Do you notice the plus sign next to the 2 in part A? I see it. It says, what do you think it means? Well, it means that she's approaching from the right, not from the left. This is called a one-sided limit. What do you think it means if there's a minus sign instead of a plus sign? So what if I replace that with a minus sign? Well, that means she can approach 2 from the left. It's just that she would be over here and getting ever so close to 2. Okay, so we'll just say plus means approaching from the right, and minus means approaching from the left. Okay, so that's the answer to letter B when you have the little minus sign there. Now, letter C says, now use the graph from problem 7-15 to evaluate each of the following limits. So at first I got confused because I thought I was supposed to use this graph, but then I went back and saw that there's a graph on there's a graph on 7-15 with the bugs. And so I just redrew the graph here. And so I'm supposed to find the limit as f of x, or the limit as x approaches 3 from the left of f of x when, oh, I already wrote the 1. Sorry, there's no answer there yet. So what is the limit as f of x, what's the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 from the left? So let's approach 3 from the left and see where we end up. If I crawl like a little bug up this hill, and there's 3 right there, it looks like I'm going to end up at, you always use the y value, it looks like I'm going to end up at 1. When you're taking a limit, f of x, you're going to, f of x is the y. So this wants the limit as x approaches 3 from the right. So x approaches 3 from the right has to be from over here. And so if I'm a little bug and I'm crawling towards 3 on the right of this function, my prediction is that I would end up at 5. So that's why I wrote 5 right there. And I think that's all they asked.